Hello and welcome to our very first Theatre of Music live lesson. My name's Catherine and I'm Theatre of Music, and over the next few weeks we're going to be looking at all things to do with how we put a piece of music together, how it's constructed, what makes music, and we're going to be looking at things like melody and structure. But today we're going to focus on rhythm. Rhythm is a really, really important part of music. So important. So, without further ado, let's get on. So, what is rhythm? What is rhythm? Do we know? Rhythm is a pattern of sounds of different lengths. That's the sort of dictionary definition of what a rhythm is. And rhythm is probably, well, not even probably, it is the most important musical element out of everything. More important than melody, more important than playing a tune, more important than what instruments you're using, because if you didn't have rhythm, nothing else would exist. Melody can't exist without rhythm. We need the rhythm for the melody. Everything is built around rhythm. It's so important. Okay, so you've got to bear with me a little bit today because it's technology, and I've got to be honest, I am not the most technical of people, but it's all about learning, and I'm learning today how to use things. So let's have a little look at moving on and seeing what we're going to do next. What we're going to do next is we're going to have a little bit of a go, before we move on to how we write rhythm down, we're going to have a little bit of a go at actually keeping in time with a beat. Now, a beat is really important. A beat is a pulse. It's unchanging. It is a rhythm, but it doesn't change. It's the same all the time. It sets the speed. It tells us how fast that piece of music is going to go. Basically, if you think about it, when you listen to a piece of music, very often you'll feel like, oh yeah, I want to just move to it, or I want to tap my foot, or I want to clap. When you're doing that, you're keeping the beat. You're keeping in time. You're holding it all together. That's the beat. That's the focus. And what we do is we put rhythms over the top of that beat. So the beat doesn't change. It's consistent, stays the same all the time, but the rhythms that go over the top of it can change, and that's where we have all of these different note lengths that sort of come together to make the rhythm. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to have a little go at clapping some rhythms. So I'm going to set off a beat for you. Hopefully you can hear it. There's the beat. That's the pulse, the beat. I'm going to clap a rhythm, and what I want you to do is clap it back. Your turn. Your turn. And again. Okay, so we can see how rhythm fits in with our beat. But how do we write rhythm down? People think writing music is really complicated, and it's only as complicated as you make it. It can be really simple. It can be really simple. It depends on how you think about it, I suppose. So what we're going to have a go at is looking at how we write this rhythmic notation down. So I'm going to disappear so that you can see the screen properly. And, well, I hope so anyway, if I can get... Oh, technology. Right, there we go. So we're going to look at how we write this rhythm down. Length of sound is called duration. how long we hold a note for. Okay? And it's made up of notes of different durations, which is what we've just sort of been talking about and demonstrating. So in front of you, you can see there is a chart, and it's called a rhythmic notation chart. And at the top, you've got something that just looks like a circle, a blob. Okay, it's like a nice round potato, and it's just this circle. Now that is the very first note for us. That note is very important because everything else sort of hangs off that note. That note is worth, because we know that that symbol, that circle, that note is worth 4 beats. So when we were just listening to that tapping sound, that's how long that very first note lasts for, 4 whole beats. Now, music is very closely related to maths. So if you're good at maths, you're going to be brilliant at this. All we're going to do is halve each number. Okay, so we know that that top circle, that top note, is worth 4. We halve it. What's half of 4? Half of 4 is 2. So underneath, you can see we've got still our little potato shape for the head of the note, but we've now stuck a stick on it, which we call the stem. And that note is worth 2 beats. Basically, in music, the more you draw, the shorter the note. It's a really good thing to remember that. The more you draw, the shorter the note. So we've got a 4-beat note that is just a head circle. We've now got that circle and we put a stick on it, and that note's worth 2. So the next line down, we have a circle, we have a stick, but this time, what can we do to it? We colour in the circle. We colour in the circle and we halve it. We halve the amount that it's worth. So the previous note wasn't coloured in, was worth 2. We've coloured this one in, it's worth 1. So immediately we know, circle on the top, 1, 2, 3, 4. The note underneath, circle with a stick, 1, 2, 3, 4. And now we have the notes at the bottom, underneath there, that are coloured in with the stick, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, right, next line down. We've got our stick, we've got our circle coloured in. What can we do to it? So what we do is we add a tail. That's how I refer to it. We put a tail on it. What's half of 1? Half of 1 is a half. So each of these little notes with the tails are worth half a beat. So when we count these ones, there's going to be 2 of these notes to every 1 whole beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so at the top, circle, 1, 2, 3, 4. Next one down, 2 beats, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we have our 1-beat notes, 1, 2, 3, 4. And underneath that, we have our half-beat notes, the ones with the tails, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? That's basically the crux of rhythmic notation. That's it. That's as complicated as it needs to be. If you get any notes that are shorter than a half, you just add more tails. So the next note would be worth a quarter, and the next note would be worth an eighth, and so on. You're just halving it each time. Okay? Now, it would be really hard if you just sort of referred to them as that's a 4-beat note, that's a 2-beat note. We like to name things, don't we? I think we always like to give something a name. Okay, so let's have a little look, because all of these have names. All of them have names. And there we go. All of these have names. So we have the 4-beat note at the top, and we call the 4-beat note semi-breve. Now, sometimes it's really hard just to remember the name of something, you know, the sort of the proper official name of something. So semi-breve might be difficult for you to remember. I actually like giving things names. So I call it Sally semi-breve. I can remember Sally semi-breve, Sally semi-breve. The next note, the 2-beat note, is called a minim. Melanie minim. You could call them whatever you wanted, but these are the names that I've come up with. So we've got Sally semi-breve, Melanie minim, and then the next one, where it's the 1-beat note, Christopher crotchet. It's a crotchet. Crotchet is 1-beat note. And then the 1/2-beat note, not to be confused with any crisp brands, is a quaver. And we've called this one Quinton. Quinton quaver. So you have a 4-beat note, it's called a semi-breve, a 2-beat note that's called a minim, a 1-beat note that's called a crotchet, and a 1/2-beat note called a quaver. And combining those different note lengths is how we make a rhythm. Okay, so we're going to have a little go, hopefully, at performing some rhythms. Now, before you even sort of get to performing the rhythms, we need to have just sort of explain a little bit about some of the other technical bits and bobs that you're going to come up against as we work our way through. Just there, you can see it sort of looks like a fraction, but it's a very odd fraction because it's 4/4, and 4/4 would be a whole number. So we don't talk about fractions in music. This is what we call a time signature. A time signature is telling us how many beats are in a bar, because in music we don't just have one continuous long piece of music. That would be incredibly difficult to follow and to play if you just sort of, you know, had loads and loads of notes one after another. So we split it up into sort of like bite-sized chunks, and we call these bars. And each bar is going to have 4 beats in it. So the 4 at the top is telling us 4 beats in a bar. So when we're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So when you hear that beat behind you, we're thinking in groups of 4. Okay, and that works really well for this because obviously we've just been looking at semi-breves. So one whole bar could be a semi-breve. We've been looking at minims. So 2 minims would take up a whole bar. We've been looking at crotchets. 4 crotchets take up a whole bar. And we've been looking at quavers. 8 quavers would fit in a whole bar. Okay. Now, let's have a little look at our first rhythm. Okay. So our first rhythm, we're going to call it, okay, that's just explaining what I've just said. So we're going to call it table. That's an odd thing to call it, isn't it? Table. That's because at the moment, unless you're really lucky and you've got an entire sort of like drum kit, orchestra around you, I would imagine you haven't got any musical instruments in front of you. So what I want you to do is use the table. If you've got one handy, if you're sitting with, you know, with a table in front of you. If not, you can clap, you can use your lap. Doesn't matter, but I've called this one table. And you can see the musical notation that we were just talking about actually written down in a piece of music. So our first bar is a semi-breve. Our second bar is another semi-breve. So both bars, we play one note or clap one note and we count to 4. We then have 2 minims, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we have another semi-breve, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to set that little beat off that we've got. Okay, and I'm going to count to 4, and then I'm going to start clapping the rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now it's all very well me doing it. What would be really cool is if you had a go. So let's do it together. Okay, I will count you in. I will give you 4 beats, and then you start clapping or tapping the table or whatever it is that you're doing. You do it along with me. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Should we do that again? After 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Now, what I should have perhaps told you is that all of this information and all the resources to do with today's lesson are actually on the Theatre of Music website. And there is a little handout, a little resource worksheet that's got all of these rhythms on. There's a link to the sort of pulse, the beat that's playing, so that you've got that sound clicking away so that you can practice along with it. And there's also another soundtrack that we'll come to in a little while. So everything that I'm talking about in today's lesson, you can get online on the Theatre of Music website. There's the worksheet and there's the sound files as well. So there's everything there to help you. So if you want to go back in and do a little bit more on it afterwards, after the lesson, then you can. Okay. So there's our table rhythm. Now I'm going to disappear to make life easier so that you can see what's going on next, because otherwise my head is going to be over the top. We don't want that. So there we go. I've disappeared. Let's have a look at the next rhythm. The next rhythm I've called lap, because you could tap this on your lap. Okay, so we've got the table, we've got the lap. Now you can see that this one's got a little, maybe you could say it's a little bit more complicated. It's got minims, it's got crotchets, and it's got a semi-breve at the end. So we've got 2 beat notes, we've got 1 beat notes, and we've got a 4 beat note. And we start off with our 2 beat notes. So if I count it through before we put the clicking track on so that you can hear how it works. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so minims worth 2, crotchets are worth 1, so you would clap the crotchets on each beat, and the semi-breve is worth 4. So let's have a little go with the click track at playing the lap rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's try that again, shall we? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So we've got a table rhythm, we've got a lap rhythm. We're now going to add a clap rhythm, and this one is perhaps even more complicated because we've got quavers in this one. So we've got minims, we've got crotchets, we've got a semi-breve at the end, but we've got quavers in. And you'll look at those quavers perhaps and think, well, they don't look the same as the ones that I saw on your grid, because the tails are doing something odd. Now, that's because when you've got more than one quaver next to each other, we join the tails together because it just looks neater. Think of it as a little bit like musical grammar, because it's just the way it's written down. It makes it look better. It makes it easier to follow if we join those 2 tails together. So in the second bar, we can see that we've got 4 tails that have been joined together because it just makes it easier to follow. Okay, so we start off with a 2 beat note. We've then got the minim, then we've got 2 crotchets, 1 beat notes. We've got 4 quavers, 2 more crotchets, another 2 crotchets, 2 quavers, a crotchet, and a semi-breve. So if I count it through, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Let's just talk that one through one more time, because this is the most complicated rhythm out of all of them. So we do a 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so let's try clapping that in time to our pulse. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's do it again, and I won't count this time. I'll just clap. After 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we've had a go at clapping the rhythms. Now what we're going to do is something a little bit different. Okay, we're going to go through each rhythm in turn. So we're going to create a big piece of music by playing each rhythm or clapping each rhythm one after the other. So we'll go straight from the table rhythm into the lap rhythm, straight from the lap rhythm into the clap rhythm. Okay, no stopping. See how you do. Okay, so I'll set the beat off. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's try that again. Technology. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Lap. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Clap rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're going to try those rhythms again, one after another, and this time I'm not going to say a word, we're just going to clap it. Okay, here we go. After 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Excellent. Now let's try something even more complicated. Let's have a go at creating some texture, layering the sounds. Okay, so when we play music normally, there's more than one sound going on at the same time. So if you think of a pop song, you've got the singer, you've got the guitarist, you've got the drummer, you've got the bass player, and they're all playing different rhythms. So we're going to have a little bit of a go at creating that sort of idea of texture, layering the sounds. Now, obviously, I'm quite happy to play a rhythm, and you can choose a different rhythm. And if there's somebody else around, then maybe you could get them to choose a different rhythm so that you've got all three rhythms all happening at the same time. Okay, I'm going to do the table rhythm. So I'm the table rhythm. So you choose either the lap rhythm or the clap rhythm, whichever one you feel the most comfortable with. All right. And what we'll do is we'll do that whole rhythm to let's do it, say 4 times through. The first 2 times through, I will count, and then we'll do it 2 more times, one after another, where I don't count. So we go straight on, we repeat them. Okay, so let's count you in. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Repeat it. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. And now let's do it without me talking. How'd you get on? I hope you got on really well with that. But if you wanted more practice at it, if you felt that you needed to have a little bit more of a go at it, then use the resources on the website. That's what they're there for. They're there to help you. They're there to sort of guide you and point you in the right direction. So, you know, that's fine. That's fine. That's what they're there for. Make use of them by all means. So now we're going to have a look at rapping rhythms, because that's what we've called this. That's what this lesson's supposed to be all about. So we've talked about the rhythms, we've talked about how we put the rhythm together, but let's have a look at how we use rhythm and words. What is rapping? So rapping is basically saying words to a rhythm in time to a beat, which is what we've been doing. And if you think about words have syllables. We break them up. So the word is 1 syllable. Rapping is 2 syllables. Rap-ing. So you would have 2 notes for the 2 syllables. Okay? And we put those words, we say words to a rhythm all the time actually, but what we're doing is we're giving it a structure. Okay, we have a little rhyme here. Making a rap with a tap and a clap, words in rhyme said in time. Now, that's not rapping. I've just said it. Making a rap with a tap and a clap, words in rhyme said in time. There's no rhythm to that. When you say it to a rhythm, then you're rapping. So you can see written down, I've got some notes that create a rhythm. And if we think about what we've just been doing, we've got 2 quavers, 2 crotchets, 2 quavers, a crotchet, 2 quavers, a minim, 2 crotchets, a minim, 2 crotchets, a minim. So let's just have a think about how that rhythm itself sounds. So listen to the clapping, me clapping the rhythm. That's the rhythm that's written down for these words. Okay, so making a rap with a tap and a clap, words in rhyme said in time. Okay, I could make up any words. It could be, can you make a rhyme? I can do it all the time. Say your words to a beat. Let's stamp our feet. You can put any words that sort of from a poem or whatever into a rap. That's how rap is created. Let's have a little go at doing this. So we've got a proper little drum beat going on here for our rap. I'll count you into 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Making a rap with a tap and a clap, words in rhyme said in time. Shall we try that again? 1, 2, 3, 4. Making a rap with a tap and a clap, words in rhyme said in time. One more time. Making a rap with a tap and a clap, words in rhyme said in time. Now, I wonder whether you might be able to come up with some words, write yourself a little poem or rap and try saying it to a beat. That's the challenge I'm going to set you. So on the website, underneath the live lessons heading, if you click on there, you will find that drum beat, you will find the clicking track, you will find the information, everything that's on the slides telling you about rhythm. And it's an opportunity for you to go away and create your own rap and try saying it to a beat in time with that sound file. Have a go at writing the rhythm down as well, just like I've done on the when we were looking at the words for the one we were just saying. The rhythm, actually, when you think about it, isn't that hard because you've already got it in your head. If you can clap it, you can say it, you can write it. Have a little go because we learn by doing. Okay? Now, I'm hoping you've learned quite a lot about rhythm today, how rhythm works, what rhythm is, duration, how long notes last, the fact that rhythm changes but beat stays the same, that 4/4 is a time signature, that we're counting 4 beats in a bar, that we know about semi-breves, minims, crotchets and quavers, and that we can use all of those different note lengths in combinations to create rhythms, and we can either write them down or just perform them, clapping them, tapping them, using instruments, singing them, however it might be that we're using them. Okay? That's all really important stuff because this is the stepping stone so that next week when we're looking at melody and we're looking at how melody is created, we're going to look at how we write music down, the treble clef, the notes of the treble clef. If you've got a keyboard or some sort of musical instrument that plays melody, so we're not talking about drums, we're not talking about tambourines or percussion instruments, we're talking about instruments that can create melodic sounds, or just your voice. Your voice is a musical instrument. If you've got any musical instruments, bring them to next week's live lesson, because that would be really useful. If you haven't got a musical instrument at home and you're thinking, well, what am I going to do? Don't worry about it. You can download virtual keyboards onto iPads and devices and things like that. Obviously, it's not the same as having a musical instrument, but it's a good starting point to be able to create things with, so that you've got a keyboard in front of you to be able to use. Okay, now this is our very first lesson, and we're sort of working our way through. At the moment, I'm creating all of this stuff for absolutely nothing. Everything is free. The website is free. All of the resources on the website are free. In fact, if you really enjoyed your rhythm, if you go on the resources page, the normal resources page, there are some extra worksheets all about rhythm. And if you like maths, there's some music maths questions using notes where you have to work out the sums. There's even some BODMAS or BIDMAS, depending on how you use it, sums in there. If you understand what I'm talking about, that's cool. So they're all being done for free. But if you feel that you could help me out, because obviously I'm doing this for free, if you want to help sort of pay my wages so that I can continue to do this for free, then produce more resources and more lessons and more music, we can make more music together, then please think about supporting me by joining one of the membership things on Ko-fi. There's a QR link there, it takes you through to it, and you'll get a music magazine that I'll be writing myself every quarter. So the first edition is supposed to come out in December, with fun facts and quizzes and activities and things like that for you to have a go at. And if you feel that you could support me, that would be absolutely fantastic. Otherwise, if you've got any comments that you want to make, or if you've, when you've come up with your raps and you want to share them and things like that, if you go to the Facebook page, Theatre of Music Facebook page, and find the link to today's lesson, just put the comments underneath. It would be brilliant. I'd love to read what you've put. That would be absolutely fantastic. Otherwise, thank you very much, and I will see you for another live lesson next week.